Hello and welcome to Game Titan. Last time we created this little toy where you can see different numbers. You can see different numbers displayed with different bases, different radixes. Specifically decimal and binary and hexadecimal. So those come up often in programs and programming and coding. And I had created this costume letters variable which had one letter per costume that was in this sprite, and I realized that instead of doing that I could probably just change the costume names to include the letter that we're looking up. Here, letter I of the value we're trying to display. And I was suspecting that would be significantly faster. Right now we have our game loop running about 22 to 28,000 times per second. And hopefully if this works, it will go up some. So instead of calling these costume 0, 1, 2, all the way through 15, I'm going to call them character and 0. I can't just call it 0. I remember trying this out before, and Scratch will, if you try to set the costume of a sprite to 1 and there's a costume named 1, it'll ignore that costume and it'll just use the whatever costume is in position number 1 instead. So the costume name has to not look like a number. So I'll call this character 0 to make sure that they're all consistent. This is not 10, this will be A. It's a capital A, so we'll make the name a capital A. B, C, although A is 10, in hexadecimal, D, E, and F. So we should then be able to change this. Let's remember what this is. 22 to 26, say. I'll just change the name of my project so I can remember. 22 to 26k FPS. So if we stop this and test it out, what we'll want is we'll say switch costume 2, and then always the first part of the costume name is going to be char hyphen, and then instead of testing all of this stuff, we'll just switch the costume to this value. So the letter was 1. Let's actually display it. It should show 1, and if this is a 2, that works, and if it was an F, that also works. So here, we'll pull this out, and don't really need that anymore. We don't need this entire J loop. For this one, and now don't need this either. We'll replace the switch costume to J, and at this point I don't think that there are any references to J. Make the variable really long to see if it's obviously anywhere, and it isn't, so we can delete it. Let's hide this again. So previously, what was going on? Something's changed. This is effectively working, but there's an extra copy of the first sprite. So I starts at 0. We're repeating until I is greater than length of value. So if value is just a 1-digit number, I can show it just in case. If value is a 1-digit number, then that'll be 1. 0 is not greater than 1. Change X by character width. Switch the costume to the correct one and stamp it. And then I not sure how this was working before actually. I becomes 1, and then I is not actually greater than the length, so this happens again. Previously maybe we were actually doing that. That makes more sense. This will probably be obvious later. So how is it that the decimal one is working? I is 0. We're changing I by 1 here. Oh, this was failing to do anything, so just by chance, even though this loop was running too many times, this if statement did not run. I can see that the FPS is up to about 26,000 now compared to 22 to 26 before, so it does look like an improvement. I'm gonna log off for a while and be back later. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If this was useful at all, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for listening, and I'll